Don't go. Please. I want a baby.
What?
It started.
What started?
Life.
The film begins in a high-security government lab, a place filled with cutting-edge technology and an air of urgency. Scientists in white coats are laser-focused on their tasks, surrounded by screens flashing complex data. In the middle of this controlled chaos is a large, transparent containment chamber. Inside lies a young girl named Sil, no older than 12, with strikingly clear eyes and platinum blonde hair. Dr. Xavier Fitch, the lead scientist, explains to his team the truth about Sil. She isn't just a regular child. She was created by merging human DNA with alien DNA sent from space. It was meant to be a groundbreaking experiment, but as the camera pans across the worried faces of the scientists, it's clear something has gone wrong. The team has made a grave decision. They must terminate Sil. Sil becomes anxious as two scientists approach and attach gas tanks containing cyanide to her containment chamber. She stares at Dr. Fitch, who mouths the words, "I'm sorry," revealing an emotional bond with the girl. Sil mouths the words back. Dr. Fitch, with a heavy heart, nods in approval, looks away, and the gas quickly fills the chamber, meant to put her to sleep permanently. The mood in the lab turns somber as the weight of their decision settles in. As the gas begins to fill the chamber, with a single powerful punch, Sil shatters the glass, breaking free. Alarms blare and red lights flash. In a blur of speed and precision, Sil evades the military guards, dogs, and even helicopters. Her agility and strength are beyond anything they've ever seen. She scales the perimeter fence effortlessly and vanishes into the night, leaving chaos in her wake. Sil hitches a ride on a freight train. Exhausted, she drifts off to sleep, but soon wakes up to find a hobo trying to touch her. With a simple push, she sends him flying into the wall of the train, his body crumpling like a rag doll. Sil watches the passing towns and people with a mix of fear, determination, and curiosity. She's in a world she doesn't fully understand, guided by instincts that are both human and alien. When the train slows, Sil jumps off and heads into a nearby store. She observes people buying things with cash and credit cards, and when she tries to steal some food, she's quickly spotted. Without hesitation, she abandons the stolen food and grabs a stranger's bag from a cart outside. With the bag in hand, she boards a passenger train heading to LA. On the train, Sil finds a portable TV and momentarily loses herself in the distraction of pure entertainment. As she wanders through the train, she helps herself to some supplies. While eating a banana without peeling it, a conductor walks in to check her ticket, but is surprised when Sil tells her she was traveling alone. The conductor takes a liking to Sil and makes her pay half price. Dr. Fitch and his team are horrified when they discover the mangled body of the hobo. This is the first time Sil has killed, and now she's out in the world, unpredictable and dangerous. Realizing the gravity of the situation, Fitch quickly assembles a team of experts to track her down. The team includes Dr. Laura Baker, a skilled biologist, Dan Smithson, an empath who can sense emotions and motives, Stephen Arden, an anthropologist, and Preston Lennox, a seasoned mercenary who dryly says,
"And if I'm here, I think the shit has definitely hit the fan. Let's just say I'm a freelance solution to some of our government's problems."
Meanwhile, on the train, Sil drifts back into sleep and is haunted by another dream of an alien train chasing her down. She wakes up hungry and devours the remains of her stolen loot. But suddenly, something strange happens. Her skin begins to ripple and shift. Tentacles start emerging from underneath her skin, anchoring her to the train as an organic cocoon forms around her. As Sil undergoes this terrifying transformation, the conductor returns to check on her. When she doesn't see Sil, she decides to look in the bathroom. What she finds is shocking, a meaty, pulsating cocoon. As she approaches it, a tentacle lashes out, grabbing her and killing her instantly. Moments later, Sil emerges from the cocoon, no longer a teenage girl, but a fully grown woman. Dr. Fitch gathers the team and begins the briefing. He explains that back in the 1970s, scientists involved in the search for extraterrestrial life sent out signals containing information about Earth, human DNA, and our scientific achievement. The hope was to connect with intelligent life somewhere in the universe. 2 decades later, something remarkable happens. They receive a reply. The first message is incredible. It contains blueprints for a revolutionary energy source, potential solution to Earth's energy crisis. But the second message is far more complicated and mysterious. It contains a sequence of alien DNA and detailed instructions on how to merge it with human genetics. The scientists, eager for a breakthrough, decide to proceed with the experiment, believing that creating a hybrid being would lead to new scientific discovery. Their goal was to produce a docile, controllable female hybrid. Preston smirks and says,
"I guess you guys don't get out much."
If they think they're more controllable. Out of 100 attempts, only 1 embryo survives, a girl named Sil. Outwardly, she appears human, but her development is anything but ordinary. Syl's growth rate was astonishing. In just 3 months, she grew to the physical age of 12. Her intelligence, physical strength, and awareness grew just as rapidly. But soon, the scientists began to realize that Syl was not just a product of their experiment. She was becoming something far more powerful and unpredictable. They noticed especially disturbing behaviors during her sleep. Syl's subconscious was haunted by disturbing visions, and she began to exhibit violent tendencies. Despite her outward innocence, it became increasingly clear that Syl possessed a dangerous potential, one that could threaten everyone around her, and that's why they tried to terminate her. Their mission was now clear: search and destroy. Syl was too dangerous to be left alive. When Syl arrives in Los Angeles, she steps off the train as a stunning blonde woman in her 20s, now dressed in the conductor's uniform. Her transformation is complete, and she blends seamlessly into society, her beauty making her almost invisible in the crowd. But as she explores the city, she spots a wedding gown in a store window and decides to buy it. She hands all her money to the cashier, who, surprised by her naivety, returns the cash and advises her to be careful with her money. Now wearing a wedding gown, Syl stands out. Now in LA, Fitch and his ragtag team discover the dead conductor on the train. After finding a cocoon, they realize Syl is no longer a child, which explains their difficulty in tracking her. Preston instructs his team to monitor the conductor's credit card, since it wasn't found on her. As the team regroups, they have a moment of reflection about their mission. Fitch informs them that a new lab has been set up nearby. Dr. Laura Baker, the biologist, is torn between her scientific curiosity and the duty to stop Syl. She suggests creating a pure alien using the DNA sequence, without merging it with human DNA. The idea is to study this pure form and learn how to exploit its weaknesses. In the lab, Laura attempts to introduce the alien DNA into a cell. As she begins, the camera capturing the procedure suddenly malfunctions. She asks for a replacement, but because the operation is classified, she and Preston volunteer to enter the chamber to fix it. Dan has an uneasy feeling about the situation. Once inside, they manage to repair the camera, but they realize with horror that the embryo has already been fertilized. The alien fetus is growing rapidly. In a panic, they try to seal the isolation unit, but Preston accidentally drops a bolt down a drain. They try to leave the chamber, but Dr. Fitch refuses to let them out, concerned the organism will slip out. As the alien organism begins to show signs of escaping, Preston desperately tries to hold the unit shut. Dr. Fitch, watching from outside, orders him to step aside so he can burn the creature. Fitch sets the isolation unit on fire, but it's not enough to kill the alien. He activates a 2-minute countdown protocol to incinerate the entire room. As the seconds tick away, Preston attacks the alien relentlessly, first using a gas line as a makeshift flamethrower, then stabbing it with a pipe. The alien appears to stop moving, and Preston, thinking it's dead, asks Dr. Fitch to let them out. But just as Fitch is about to press the button, they realize with dread that the alien is still alive and growing at an alarming rate. In a moment of intense tension, Dan pushes Fitch away from the control panel, and Steven disobeys orders by opening the door. Laura and Preston barely escape as the fire engulfs the chamber behind them. Syl checks into a rundown motel, paying in cash. Alone in the dingy room, she turns on the TV, but the only channels available show couples being intimate and a car crashing into a transformer. As she watches, Syl feels a powerful primal urge, a deep instinct to mate. The need is overwhelming, blending with her rapidly developing human emotions. Confused but driven, she knows she has to find a mate. She asks the motel clerk where she can find a man, and he casually suggests a nearby club. Before heading out, Syl swipes the stolen MasterCard at the front desk, unknowingly setting off alarms. The swipe of the stolen card triggers an alert for Dr. Fitch and his team. Preston receives the information and realizes they might finally have a lead. The card was just used at a motel nearby. Meanwhile, Syl begins her search. She easily gains entrance to the club, her striking beauty turning heads immediately. Inside, a man is drawn to her, captivated by her mysterious allure, but a woman interrupts them. Syl follows the woman to the bathroom, enters the next room, and pulls out her spinal cord. Fitch's team is closing in. They arrive at the motel and finally catch a glimpse of Syl's new form on the grainy security footage. It's clear she's grown into a woman, but they still don't know exactly what she looks like. Tension builds as the clerk tells them he suggested she might find a man at a nearby club. The team realizes with mounting fear that Syl is on the verge of mating, which could have catastrophic consequences. They collect the security tape from the clerk and leave. Back at the club, Syl continues her search, eventually taking off her top, drawing even more attention. She finally finds a man she deems suitable, someone who matches her criteria. Fitch's team arrives at the club, discovering the dead woman in the bathroom. The urgency escalates when they learn from the bouncer that a blonde woman, fitting Syl's description, left with a man named Robbie. Robbie takes Sil to his apartment, where her seduction reaches its peak. The environment is intimate, with soft music playing in the background. Sil's demeanor is calm and controlled, masking her true intentions. Sil walks into the bathroom while Robbie is freshening up. He gently touches Sil in an affectionate manner, but to his surprise, Sil becomes uneasy and demands he take her back to the club. Already aroused, Robbie insists they get intimate. As they kiss, Sil makes her move, giving him the deadly kiss that seals his fate. The team arrives at Robbie's apartment, only to find his lifeless body. Laura is now certain that Sil is trying to mate. Preston notices that Robbie still has his pants on, suggesting that Sil rejected him before things went too far. Laura, thinking like a scientist, believes Sil detected something wrong with his genes, much like animals do. Preston finds a needle and initially suspects Robbie might have been a drug addict, but Laura spots a used insulin bottle in the trash. She quickly concludes that his diabetes made him unsuitable for Sil's needs. Sil escapes in Robbie's car. She heads back to the motel but quickly leaves when she sees the authorities at the motel. As night turns into morning, Sil wakes up in the car, having dreamed of being intimate with another alien. When the car runs out of gas, she decides to continue on foot. Her striking beauty catches the attention of a man on a skateboard who loses focus and causes a car to swerve, nearly hitting him, but instead hitting Sil. The driver speeds away, leaving Sil injured. Fortunately, a kind man stops to help her and takes her to the hospital. The ragtag team works to enhance the motel's security footage, but even with their best efforts, they can't get a clear image of Sil. Meanwhile, the police discover Robbie's broken-down car and report it in. At the hospital, John Carey, the nice man, uses his credit card to pay for Sil's medical bills. While assessing Sil's wounds, doctors are amazed at her instant recovery. She leaves the hospital while the doctor tries to understand what he just witnessed. She meets John in the lobby, who is equally bewildered. The team inspects the abandoned car, still trying to piece together Sil's whereabouts. They catch wind of a trending story about an accident victim who made an incredible recovery, and when they follow up at the hospital, the doctor confirms the bizarre tale. With the help of the front desk clerk, they track down John's credit card information, giving them a lead on his address and phone number. John, unaware of the danger, takes Sil to a secluded spot, eager to impress her. He shows off his camera and then makes out with her in his hot tub. John is surprised at Sil's desperation to get laid. Their intimate session is interrupted by Preston and Laura knocking at the door. John attempts to answer. Sil pulls him back, insisting she wants to have a baby. Shocked by her proposal, he tries to run, but she grabs him. While attempting to keep him from alerting the ragtag team, she rapidly transforms into her natural alien form, eventually killing her potential mate when she forces one of her tentacles into his mouth to keep him from screaming. Sil then flees into the forest without being seen by Preston and Laura as they gain entry into the house and find John's body in the hot tub. Hidden in the bushes, Sil watches as Preston searches the area, her alien form blending into the darkness. Realizing she's vulnerable, she quickly transforms back into her human form, but without her clothes, she's forced to flee naked. Desperate for help, she sees a woman about to get into her car. Sil jumps in, begging the woman for help, and the kind stranger agrees, unaware of the true danger that now sits beside her. The team stumbles upon a Polaroid picture of John and Sil. Once again, it's too blurry to reveal her true appearance. Frustration mounts, but they find some relief when the investigators confirm that no evidence of semen was found in the hot tub. Meanwhile, Sil drives the nice woman's car, leaving us to wonder what happened to her. She makes her way back to John's house, where she observes Fitch reading his lips as he tells the team to go back to the club the following night. At this point, we remember she did the same thing when she was a child, and Fitch told her, "I'm sorry," for trying to terminate her. It seems she's figured Fitch out. The next day, Sil dreams of Preston and sees him as a suitable mate. She wakes up next to the nice woman who helped her last night, confirming our suspicions that she had kidnapped the woman to assume her identity. Sil hatches a plan to fake her death. She trims her thumb, drops it in her bag, waits for it to regenerate, and then trims that of the nice woman, throwing it away in the trash. She heads to a gas station where she fills some containers with fuel, then steals another car and transfers the fuel to the stolen car. The next scene shows our ragtag team staking out a nightclub, hoping to spot Sil. Dan has a funny feeling and goes outside, where Sil shows herself to Dan. He goes inside to alert the others. Sil enters her car and lures them into a high-octane chase with the kidnapped woman bound next to her. She swerves off the road and drives down a steep hill, jumping out at the last last minute while leaving the abducted nice woman in the car. The car crashes into a high-voltage transformer and explodes, reminding us of the movie scene Sil watched at the motel. A helicopter bombs the crash site to make sure she's gone for good. But of course, Sil is always just one step ahead, slipping through their fingers. Preston still believes Sil is alive, but Fitch insists it's impossible. They find Sil's trimmed thumb and decide to test it. Sil, feeling the need to stay one step ahead, cuts and dyes her hair, changing her appearance. Meanwhile, the ragtag team celebrates what they believe is a job well done. Laura, feeling a connection with Preston, invites him to dance, but he's too anxious about Sil to relax. His eyes catch a glimpse of a blonde woman at the bar, and thinking it might be Sil, he grabs her, only to realize it's a stranger. Fitch watches this unfold from a distance, sipping his drink. Upset, Laura storms off to the bathroom. There, she encounters Sil, who's now sporting jet black hair. Sil casually asks Laura if she can borrow some perfume and whether Laura's boyfriend likes the scent. Up to this point, only Dan has seen Sil face to face, and now that Sil has jet black hair, there's no way Laura will recognize her. Laura heads up to her room with Preston deciding to go meet her. In the lift, Sil joins Preston and tries to make small talk. Preston is not interested. However, he compliments her perfume and gets off, Sil sneaking behind him. Laura allows Preston in, and he puts up the do not disturb sign. Soon after, Preston and Laura begin to get at it, while Sil listens. Sil steals a key from a hotel staff member and sneaks into the adjacent room, listening in on Preston and Laura while imagining herself in the same situation. The room turns out to belong to Steven, who is surprised to find a beautiful woman waiting for him. Sil lies, saying she saw him downstairs and decided to surprise him. Sil partially disrobes to seduce Arden, but Arden hesitates, saying this kind of thing doesn't usually happen to him. She succeeds, and they remove the rest of their clothes. Dan senses something is off and suspects Sil might be in the hotel. He stops by Steven's room and hears them being intimate. Not wanting to interrupt, he alerts Preston and Laura. Meanwhile, Sil successfully mates with Steven and instantly feels a baby growing inside her. Steven tries to explain how conception works, but when he places his hands on her stomach, he realizes who she is. Before he can react, Sil kills him. Just as the team bursts into the room, Sil escapes by smashing through a wall. Preston quickly realizes she's pregnant and urges the team to find her before she gives birth. They follow her trail to the garage, where they discover a massive hole in the wall. Equipping themselves with flamethrowers, they descend into the dark, ominous sewer system. The atmosphere is tense, with shadows playing tricks on their eyes as they edge closer to Sil's hiding place. Despite the danger, they decide to split up. Fitch, noticing strange bubbles in the water, stops to investigate. Suddenly, Sil, in her full alien form, drags him underwater, killing him. The team continues their search, unaware that Sil is watching them from the pipes above. Sil soon leaps into the water, leading them into a desperate chase. They come across another hole in the wall, and Dan enters, determined to find her. Meanwhile, Sil gives birth to a son. While searching, Dan sees Sil's son, already grown, snatch a rat with his tongue. He approaches the boy and tries to help him, but the boy extends his tentacles, causing Dan to fall. Laura tries to reach Dan, but falls into a pool of oil. Sil's son morphs into his full alien form and attempts to attack Dan, but Dan lights Sil's son on fire using a flamethrower. The son then falls into the pool of oil, killing him. This enrages Sil, begins to emit alien sounds that depict her anger. Laura struggles to get out of the oil, while Dan hangs onto the edge of a rock, Preston being choked by Sil's tentacles. He pulls out his knife and cuts the tentacles. Laura manages to climb out of the oil, but Dan is still hanging on for his life. Sil tries to attack Preston again, but with multiple shots, he finally ends it, sending Sil into the burning oil. Laura and Preston try to pull Dan up, but Sil, now back, grabs his foot. Dan loads a shotgun, says some tough last words, and blasts Sil's head, turning it into a mashed pumpkin, ending her. The movie closes with a hint of more to come. A sewer rat gnaws on Sil's severed tentacles, mutates, and devours another rat, teasing a sequel. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe for the sequel. Thanks for watching.